All right, so I got an itchy nose. The guy that I'm staying with, he went to Alliance to, well, stuff that's not your business. But as a result, even though there's snow outside and it's cold, I get to be in the one warm room in the house. Amy Clean of Kingery, this used to be a woman by the name of uh, Megan Christie's house. This is a house that I was going to buy before Natalie died. I had actually helped out Megan several times with her house and with her yard. Um, but her and Amy and all them, they sold the heater in this house for methamphetamines before they sold it. They sold the stove for meth before they sold the house. They basically anything in this house they could gut for money to get meth, they did. Um, I'm gonna post the thing with Katie Cahill a couple of times. I've been listening to conversations with witnesses that I have recorded on here, and yeah, Katie Cahill in the conversation I was just listening to, she is talking about Kara Johnson Miles and Cara and a bunch of other people who were pretending to be my friend, but in actuality, they were slandering me in Facebook groups and also harassing Katie Cahill. Um, but she's telling me in the video how she's going to write a report. She's going to write it down, but she's too busy, or she's just a very busy person. Um, if you're too busy to sit down and write a half an hour report, if you can't spend half of an hour to write it down, then you shouldn't offer to help people. Don't tell me you're going to write it down. Now, that video, she says she's going to, but she never did. And that's why I'm so pissed off at Katie Cahill. Is that her actually writing that down would have been documentation I could have used to help get a lawyer. That would have been documentation that I could have used in court. But she never wrote it down. And the whole time that I'm waiting on her to write it down, I'm being abused. I'm being railroaded in court. I'm being harassed, threatened, and assaulted by the Bollingers and their friends and by the general public. You goddamn right I'm speaking out. And you goddamn right I'm pissed off at Katie. See, this is what happens when nobody's actually in your corner. If she was in my corner, she would have written that report. She told me she was going to, but never got around to it. And yeah, I'm fucking pissed off about it. That's why I'm pissed off at her. She was a witness to this. And instead of documenting it when it could have made a difference, I had to record a conversation with her to bring it out to the general public, to you guys, who only got to see one side of it. And I posted a link to that video in the video description of the last video I made. And I'm going to do the same with this one. Matter of fact, we'll see if I can do that here. Let's see, copy video URL. This is all stuff that I had to learn over time. Let's see, copy, paste, and enter. There's one. There's another conversation with her too, where it talks about Kara Johnson Miles and how, while Kara Johnson Miles was pretending to be my friend, she was busy harassing people. She was busy harassing Katie Cahill. They were busy slandering me in Facebook, and they actually took over Katie Cahill's first Facebook group, or yeah, her first Natalie Bollinger group. She invited them to be admins. But because she was neutral, she wanted to hear both sides. Instead of slandering Sean Schwartz, she wanted to see both sides of it. They took the group from her and kicked her out of it. And she talks about that. There's both link descriptions in the side over here for you guys to look at if you want to. There's also the conversations that I had with Miss Peaches. The things that Miss Peaches should have written down. If she'd have written those things down, I could have taken those to court. If she'd have gone in with me to speak to the police and told the police those things, she could have, just by her presence, could have prevented the cops from assaulting me, from pretending that I was trying to kill myself in order to justify the wrongdoing that the police were doing. The police did everything in their power to prevent me from making a police report against them. Now, I've tried to do it online. There's no option with any of these departments to do that. Now, I've been in contact with the sheriff of Arapahoe County, or the Broomfield sheriff, Adams County, that's what it is. His name is Rick Reigenborn. That guy was elected sheriff after the whole Natalie case. And you know what? That guy is just as involved in protecting those officers from those officers' wrongdoing. Now, it's understandable, isn't it? Although these officers may have put dozens, possibly even hundreds of innocent people in jail or prison by doing the things that they did to me. There are also people who were actually guilty who are in prison for these things. So Rick Reigenborn is invested in making sure that the people who were rightly convicted, he wants to keep those people in prison, even at the expense of the innocent. Because if what those officers did to me actually made it to court, those officers would go to prison and all of their cases would be reviewed. Every murder investigation that they were involved in would have to be under very close scrutiny and review. Now, those officers outright lied, and the conversations that I recorded between myself and Peaches, and myself and Mandy Hughes, and myself and Alyssa Rainwater show that. Those conversations show that those officers outright lied to prevent their fellow officers from going to prison. Because what those officers did to me isn't civil. It's not a civil matter. It's criminal. What the police officers here in Chapel, Nebraska did is criminal negligence to the point of Natalie Bollinger being shot in the head. Yes, the officers here in Chapel, Nebraska are in part at fault for Natalie Bollinger getting shot in the head because they did nothing about the abuse that I was enduring. It looks to me like my Facebook is, or my computer is lagging a bit. So let's close a few windows. Let's shut this one off. Ah, there's a ding telling me there's something going on. The thing is, I'm not talking about fucking alien conspiracies here. I'm not talking about some fucking wingnut bullshit involving the Illuminati. These people have very specific reasons why they did what they did. Candace did what she did because she was afraid of the police. While she was talking all big and bad about how she would shoot somebody between the eyes if they came in her house. When she was harassed by Officer Michael Beard, She folded like an accordion. Let me grab my soda pop here. Now, there's even more conversations. There's a lot of them. Right now, I've got Sean David YouTube opened, and it's got a whole bunch of stuff on here. Let's go all the way back to the beginning of my videos. It says sort by, and I go to, instead of date added newest, I go to date added oldest. We start off with one called testing, then one called Natalie Bollinger, one called autism, what you can do, what we can do. And then there are 3 videos of the Boulder Police assault. Now, each of those videos are actually an hour long, but I edited them down to the parts where I was actually in the frame and you could see what was going on. And then there's one called Boulder Police Assault Description. And then there's this one with Jordan Anderson, 201804280337978 incident 901755536. That was what was going on at my grandmother's funeral. Later on, I actually posted up what it is that I was trying to show him. You can see in the video, he doesn't take it seriously, and he doesn't actually take a look at the stuff. I mean, he just basically is pretending like he's doing his job just to pacify me. And then there's Christmas for Youth Alone. That's an important one to watch. Let's see. Alyssa 1228 is a conversation with Alyssa Rainwater. A. Russell H 1230 is a conversation with Russell Huggins. Beardsley 1231 is a conversation with Ben Beardsley. Brandon 1 is a conversation with, I believe, Brandon Ratner. Then there's a conversation with Brett Roloff. There's a 40-minute conversation with my dad. Now, this is the only time in my dad's life, in my adult life, this is the only time my dad ever actually listened to me. But when I got up there, it was hell. There's one called Christine 1, Christine 2. There's one between me and Christopher Tapp where we talk about him assaulting me. Here's one with Darren O'Connor. It's called Darren O'Connor Long Call, and it's all one word. I didn't put any spaces in it. There's one called Graham 1, which is a conversation between me and Graham. Then there's Graham 2. There's Hebert 1. That's Joshua Hebert, Hebert. Me trying to get a hold of Jeff Ritter several times. And then here's another one with Hebert. It's Hebert 1222. All one word. And then there's Cami J2. That's a conversation with Cami Jepson. Cami J1 is the actual conversation. It's 29 minutes and 53 seconds long. There's Laura 1 and Laura 2. Katie 1. Laura 1 and Laura 2 are Lauren Nelson. Mandy 11 is with Mandy Hughes. Peach 2 is a conversation with Miss Peaches. Peach 1224 is a conversation with Miss Peaches. Missy Richards 1 is a 54-minute and 15-second conversation with Missy Richards. Peach 3 is a 40-minute conversation with Peaches. Peaches 112019 is a 40-minute and 44-second conversation with Miss Peaches. Ratner, B, no spaces, is a 41-minute and 32-second conversation with Brandon Ratner. 33 is a conversation with Tabby. There's Terry Cut Call, Tabby Graham 1229. That's all one word. There's Terry J2. That's Terry Jepson. There's Terry J1231. That's another conversation with Terry Jepson. We actually talk about one of her sons, well, both of her sons, all 3 of her sons. We talk about Mike Jepson, who is a sheriff in eastern Nebraska. Her son, Brandon Jepson, who wanted to be a police officer but got kicked out of college because at 19 years of age, he had a handgun in his dorm room. And her youngest son, Jason Jepson, who is a piece of shit. He's addicted to meth, and he tried cutting his sister's feet off with a garden hoe. There's a few with me talking. There's one here. It's called Bratner 2152019. That's another conversation with Brandon Ratner. There's Hebert 1302019. Hebert 2142019. Mandy 1202019. Mandy 1292019. There's two different ones with Mandy with the same. Oh, one of them's the 20th and one of them's the 29th. That's what it is. And then there's Mandy 2142019. Missy R again. That's Missy Richards 2142019. Nick and Sarah. There's a bunch of them. Here's another one with Katie Cahill. One with Aunt Brenda. Aunt B 2222019. A Ingeline 2222019. A Ingeline 2222019B. Here's a couple with Brian Schwartz. That's my dad. Where these two conversations, he knows that he's being recorded in. This first one is Brian Schwartz 322019. And second one is Brian Schwartz 322019B. Now in that, he actually asks me if he's being recorded. And then there's Aunt B 322019. I mean, I recorded a lot of conversations. And these are conversations with people who should have come forward. And each of these is date stamped, so you know when they were posted. There's one in here from Samantha B. She's a friend of Natalie Bollinger's who verified the things that I had to say about Ted. But then again, so did Alicia Bollinger. So did Brian, or what's Mr. Forrest's first name? Shit, I can't remember at the moment. But he's a mutual friend between myself and Miss Natalie. He got a hold of me after Natalie had been killed. But then there's a few conversations with Darren O'Connor where he basically admits that those people who were targeted in Boulder, Colorado, who they were making a big deal with Black Rights or Black Lives Matter, that they were targeted because they looked homeless. The police assumed they looked homeless. And if you're homeless, you don't have to observe somebody's basic human rights, their constitutional rights. They don't have rights. They're homeless. The general public hates them. They assume that everybody who is homeless is a fucking drug dealer or a druggie or a child molester or a rapist. I mean, there's a lot of them. Matter of fact, as soon as I find the one with Samantha, I am going to grab it and post it up as well. Let me see. Samantha D. Copy link address. And then live streaming, we'll post it in right here. That's with Samantha D. I mean, this is just me going through the thousands of videos here. I've got a bunch of hospital visits that I went to about my back and other things, hospitality in the waiting room, establishing mental health and getting resources for an advocate, which obviously didn't happen. Here's one from a witness here in Chapel, Nebraska. I'll post it up as well. His name is Jace Jepson, and I have his permission, by the way, to post this up. I didn't have his permission to record it, but when I let him know that I had recorded it, he said he was fine with it. Let's see, here I am talking about depressants. I'd like to get the one where I'm talking with Anna, because that talks about another murder that the Boulder police committed. Here's one. Um, a few of them. Oh, here's some cops in Wyoming harassing me in a Walmart parking lot. Then there's some of me in a clinic in Wyoming. Different appointments that I had there. Those appointments didn't do me any good. They were a waste of my time and a waste of my resources. And I literally couldn't afford to go to those appointments, especially for them not to do anything useful. There's also, here's one where I'm reading the messenger between myself and Joanna Taylor Smith. I actually, later on, I made a video where I was able to record what I was reading. As I was reading it, you can actually see it on the camera. We'll post that one up as well. I mean, this is a really messed up situation. Here's one called Anahunka, You Cannot Be Replaced. She was a friend of mine who died after Natalie died. Here's one called Kara A, and here's another one called Kara A2, or Carrie A2. Here's one with my little sister about grandma's funeral. My mom just wanted to have normal kids, whatever the hell that means. The thing is, when your children grow up in the system because you can't stay off the fucking drugs, and they're raped in the system, and they're assaulted in the system, and they're force fed mass quantities of drugs in the system because you are not a fit parent, yeah, you're not going to have normal kids. You're just not. So there's the conversation between me and my little sister, Tara. Let's see what other ones we can post up here. I mean, there's a lot. I mean, there's so much that was going on. And yeah, I speak out about these people. I'm pissed off at these people for a reason. Here's one about Jen Beebe, Jenbeebe. It's had 19 views. It was from 9 months ago. People just didn't give a shit. I've made video recordings to explain what's been going on because if I write it down, nobody's gonna fucking read it. Here's another one in a Walmart parking lot. I mean, there's a lot of these where I'm literally begging people to kill me. Oh, here's a cute one. Copy link address. It says this sign is 20 feet from a pharmacy at Peak Wellness. The sign says that they don't have any drugs in the facility. 20 feet from a fucking pharmacy. So I'm going to post that up even though it's only a 20-second video. That really goes to show the fucking bureaucracy bullshit. Here's some stuff with V-Connect. I mean, really, I got sick and tired of people doing absolutely nothing useful and asking me for money. Here's one from Jennifer Dujowski while I'm actually at one of those appointments. So I'm going to post that up here too. Now, I know most of y'all aren't going to bother to look at any of these. And there probably won't be very many people who watch the video. And the ones that see my video that hate me, they don't actually watch my videos. They just get on to click the I dislike this video button, and then they move on to dislike other things. They don't actually watch the videos. There's some in here with Desiree Leonard. This one right here is called Des and a Rant. I don't know if that's a conversation between me and Des or if that's just me venting about the situation with Desiree. But that's the thing. I mean, there were so many fucked up situations that I was in because I needed help. Here's one called, there's Stephanie 1 and Stephanie 2. These are both calls with the lady who, let's see, copy link address. These are with, there's two different Stephanies that I was in contact with. One of them was the one who helped me to try to turn in Amy and Andrew Witcher, and the other one is a lady who had offered to send me some money. Um, she wasn't actually able to. Copy link address. The thing is, like, I didn't get sent $1 million. I didn't get people that actually kept their words. Katie Cahill never kept her word to write that stuff down. Miss Peaches never kept her word to write that stuff down. None of these people actually ever kept their words to write the things down that were needed. The help that I needed was their voices, for them to voice what it is that they knew. And I got them to do that, but I had to record them without their permission. Here's one called Call to Aaron Cockerham, where it's got some things that she should have written down. Now, in my phone, she claims that she tried. I don't know if she tried or not. I wasn't there. I'd like to believe that she did. But if she did, then something needs to be done because those police wouldn't take a report from anyone. They didn't fucking care. Um, I mean, holy shit. Here's a bunch of them from Shannon. Um, let's see. Jai Rogers, Detective Peterson. These are just me talking about them because they wouldn't answer their goddamn phones. Actually, these are both short, so I think that they're phone calls to them. Where they didn't answer, and they're not going to. They did some fucked up shit, and the best way for them to hide what they did is to hide behind other officers, hide behind jurisdiction, and hide behind the harassment that I've been dealing with. Um, there's a couple of conversations here with Amanda Engeline. Um, I mean, there's a lot here. Oh shit! It just took me to my liked videos. I don't understand why it did that. Well, now I have to start all the way up at the top. Oh, nope, not quite. Um, I mean, there's a lot that's been going on. Um, here's a couple of them with Christy. Um, here's another call to Brandon. I mean, seriously, there are literally hundreds of conversations here. You notice that I'm reading them off, but I'm not posting every one of them up here. Um, there are just way too many. Um, here's a couple of them with Christian Bort. He was a friend of mine who actually is schizophrenic. Um, that's the thing is that here's one with Kelly. A couple of them with Kelly. I suppose I'll post them up as well. Kelly is an alcoholic, but she wanted me to drop the Benji stuff because Ben Harvey was somebody that I personally knew, and he froze to death on Christmas, just 4 days before Natalie Bollinger was shot in the head. 3 days before Natalie was shot in the head. He's the reason that me and Mariah Johnson became friends to begin with. Kelly is wanting me to basically drop the stuff about Benji and start talking about her friend. And her friend's name is CJ. And these that I just posted up, those are two conversations with her, where she wants me to bring light to the situation with CJ. Well, more recently, she wanted to be mean to me. Kelly did. And she's saying that if I post up anything about CJ, that she's going to sue me for slander. Well, anything that I have to say about CJ, I didn't know CJ that well. That's why I posted up your words. Um, I mean, there's a lot here. It shows my whole trip. My YouTube here is proof that the things that I've been saying have been going on with the police and with witnesses and with all of that are the truth. Um, Here's one about Miss Peaches talking about Todd and Chloe. Um, Todd was one of the people that I stayed with when Natalie died, and I didn't have anywhere safe to go. The problem with that is that Todd is a drug dealer. He's always been good to me, and he had actually quit dealing drugs. Do you know why he started dealing drugs again? And mind you, if you're going to be dealing the drugs, these people expect you to use them or they think something is up. He started using those drugs again because he was trying to help me find Natalie Bollinger's killer. We were trying to catch Joey Moreno, or at least find him, because at the time, the information that I had said that Joey Moreno was her boyfriend, one of several boyfriends that she had at the time, matter of fact. The other boyfriend that she had, his name was Justin Ward. But the information that I had at the time was that this boyfriend of hers was missing and on the run. There was a rumor that he had lit his aunt's house on fire and killed his aunt in a house fire and some other crazy shit like that. I mean, and that he had broken into Natalie's grandmother's house to steal her diary because there might have some stuff in there about the felonies that he committed and the abuse that he put her through. And I mean, yeah, it was all sorts of fucked up. Here's one called Shannon's Alcohol. It's Jekyll and Hyde. And she really is Jekyll and Hyde. I mean, here's one where I'm yelling at the financial lady at the hospital. I'm like, lady, I can't even fucking go to the hospital. I don't have the money to leave the fucking parking lot at this point in time. I'm literally stuck in the Starbucks parking lot in Cheyenne, Wyoming, and this woman is calling me, wanting me to go fill out papers to pay the bills there. I'm like, I'm not going to pay the bills at your hospital. Your hospital didn't help me. If they had actually done something to help me, then yeah, maybe I would pay them. But I'm not going to pay to be victimized. Here's one where I'm saying thank you to Dylan Bauer and Polly Olson. So I'm going to post that one up, even though it's not a conversation between myself and anyone. I mean, it's just a whole bunch of evidence, and I'm just going to keep on posting it up for a while. I mean, here I am. These videos are all 8 months old now, and that shows where I was at the time, what state I was in, where I was at. You can actually see the scenery around me in different places. People from that area, you can actually recognize where. Here's a call to Aunt B. That's Brenda Dickinson. I know there were a few more back there, but here's one I'll post up. I mean, there's a lot of them, These people that I'm pissed off at, I'm pissed off because they never came forward. They never wrote those things down or came forward to the courts about what they knew. They were fine with talking to me about it, but they weren't fine with going to the police about it. And because they never went to the police about it, I had to endure and still have to endure a lot of abuse. Some of the phones that I had even more damning and condemning evidence. It's got stuff in there like Alex Furman admitting that he wasn't going to come forward because he's scared shitless of having his kids taken away. Here's one where that's Rick McCormick. This is Shannon Alvarado's boyfriend. He called me up to scream at me like a fucking asshole. It's fine for him, but not for me, right? I get it. Here's one. This is Shannon Alvarado, one that's later on after she's pissed off at me, and so's Rick. And although she still talked over me a lot, she did better than she had ever done before. So I'm going to post this one up because I'm actually proud of her for how well she did at listening in this video. I mean, this is still scrolling through. I mean, there's a lot in here. There's a one here where I'm talking about Rose Kelly and I's mutual friend, Desiree. Oh, here's one where Dan Faber finally answered. And he talks about how even though the FBI wouldn't look into any of the stuff that I was trying to show them about the police abuse and all of that, they called Dan Faber up to ask him about me threatening the president. Well, good, but did they look at the evidence? No, they didn't. And that's the reason that I broke that law. That's the reason that I threatened the president, was to force them to take a look at that evidence. I wouldn't have had to break the law like that if Katie Cahill had kept her word. Like that very first video that I posted up. The first and second videos on this are both Katie Cahill talking about how she's going to write it down, but she's too busy. Well, if she hadn't been too busy, I could have gotten an honest day in court. If Alex Furman hadn't been afraid of his children getting taken away, I would have gotten an honest day in court. If Miss Peaches had gone in with me when it made a difference, if she had written these things down when it made a difference, I could have gotten an honest day in court. Instead, I had to record these people while in exile. I'm exiled from the state of Nebraska and the state of Colorado at this point because of warrants that I have, because I had to break the law, and none of my public pretenders would do their jobs. None of my public pretenders would look at evidence. My pretrial hearing, my public pretender didn't even show up. And her replacement let me know that he couldn't do the job, that he didn't have any evidence, and he literally could not defend me. That's how they were able to get me to sign a piece of paper that made it okay that Pamela Carty was not doing her job. She pretended that she got into a car accident so that she didn't have to show up. Now, mind you, at this point, you have a certain amount of days to have the pretrial. And we've already exceeded that many days, and I still haven't had my pretrial by the time they finally set it up. And they needed me to sign that piece of paper. Otherwise, I could have sued them for having me in jail at that point. By that point, I was already a few days into them having me in there illegally. The judge was committing a felony at that point. And her name was Kathleen M. Jansky. She's not actually a judge, she's a magistrate. And I don't have the records from that because the public pretender's office is covering their own. They are protecting Pamela Carty as well as 7 other public pretenders in their office by not allowing me access to that information. Now, you guys want to pretend I'm a bad guy when I scream because I'm frustrated at all the shit that I've gone through, and pretend that I'm crazy because I'm screaming. I want you to go back and look at that one with Rick. That one's pleasant. I mean, there are just so many in here. Here's a missed call to Steve. Here's a missed call to Mateo. I believe I actually have one where I was able to record me and Mateo. Here's another one with me and Katie. This one, she is pissed off at me, and she wants me to take down some videos that I had been talking about the situation with her, about how she hadn't come forward, still hadn't come forward. And she wants me to take those videos down. She's going to finally write it down in exchange for me taking those videos down. But wait, you need to hold on a minute. That's actually evidence, Katie. And I had to rethink my strategy at that point because I'm not going to destroy evidence. I'm not going to get rid of evidence. If I said something and it's wrong, I have proof that I said it. I also have proof that it's wrong. And I also have proof later on where I admit that I got it wrong. Because that's what manning up is to me. It's admitting when you fuck up, admitting when you get something wrong, but also with the misinformation that I was being passed, it makes perfect sense why I got so much stuff wrong. If you lie to me and tell me something that is going on that's not going on, then yeah, I'm going to base my decisions off of what you tell me. If you tell me that your boyfriend, James Payton, is beating the fuck out of you, yes, I'm going to make decisions based on that. Now, if you want to tell me later on that he didn't actually hit you because you're back together with him, you're just going to prove my point. Now, there's a lot of harassment from people that are now banned from my Facebook. Here's another one. Copy link address. This is another one with Katie Cahill. Now, these two, they might be conversations with her, and they might be just me talking about the situation. I don't know. Let's see. I really should get on here and post up the one from ones from Candice Bondurant's moms. They're way further ahead. I mean, here we're still 8 months ago. Scrolling down, I mean, there's just so much of it. I'd like to find the one that's a conversation between me and Brett Roloff in the bathroom there. Here's one with Steve Tombleson. He's one of the people who actually went with me to court and verifies that my public pretender at that point was Zoe Tanner, and she wouldn't look at the evidence either. So there's Zoe Tanner's right there. Well, that's the conversation with Steve. There's a bunch in here where I am copy link address where I'm talking to the FBI. And finally, this video right here that I'm posting up a link to is me declaring war against the United States government. The name of the video is I hereby declare war against the United States government for crimes against humanity. Now, you guys may say that's a schizo and crazy thing to do. No, it's making a point. It's making a statement. The hell just happened there? Yes, this is the one where I declared where I called the FBI to declare war formally against them. Copy video URL. So that one should probably go in here too. That's the thing, is that so many people I had gone to so many people for help, and so many people had said that they were going to help me and just never got around to it. Or they had legit issues, like having to be afraid of being retaliated against by the police, the same as I was. And believe me, when you are assaulted by a police officer and they charge you with assault for being assaulted, that is on your arrest record. And every single officer that you run into after that brushes you off or treats you in a hostile fashion. Meanwhile, at no point in time did I ever assault an officer. At no point in time. Now, the abuse against me while I was in these jails, I don't bruise easily. And what the officers did to me was so harmful and so harsh and so hard that I did bruise. And they refused to take pictures of the bruising. Here's one with Brent Jepson. That was 7 months ago. Let's see what it says. Oh, fuck it, it's lagging too much. But that's the thing, is that these are all things that I shouldn't have had to record months and months, and in some cases, years after the fact. These are things that these people knew and never came forward with. These are things where these people knew that I was being abused. And many of them state that they knew that I was being abused. And they never went forward to the cops about it. I mean, oh, here's another one from Miss Peaches and another one from Miss Peaches. I mean, there are a lot of conversations between me and Miss Peaches. She was the only person who ever bothered to call me un not unprovoked. What's the terminology I'm looking for here? The only person that I didn't have to prompt. The only person who called me unprompted. Now, most of the time she had to be prompted, but sometimes she actually called me of her own, just because she wanted to talk to me. Ah, here's the one with Moose. Well, actually, let's see. Yeah, we'll post this one up. It's called Talking to Moose. Copy link address. Now, this is Brett Roloff. Brett Roloff, if you guys have paid attention to last October of last year, up until the 17th, I was at Brett Roloff's house in Virginia. And he was addicted to meth. Now, at the point that I recorded this video here, I'm still in Cheyenne in this video. So, I mean, the video that I just posted a link to is months beforehand. I didn't know that he was strung out on meth at that point. But there's also videos of at Brett's house. One of them, you can actually hear me, him, and his girlfriend talking about him digging through his own feces looking for a bag of meth just a day after I posted a video about him possibly overdosing on meth. I mean, I was worried shitless that he was gonna fucking die. So I mean, a lot of my witnesses, they're on drugs, just like Natalie Bollinger was, just like Alicia Bollinger still is. Here's one where I'm talking about Scott DaCosta, William Burr, Cody Selhorst, and Jared Hahn. Lexington Green. I'm just going to post this video up here because it was around 4th of July. And any of you who know what Lexington Green is without having to look it up, I can respect you. And I can believe you might actually be a true patriot. Here's another one from Brandon Ratner. I mean, there are so many of them. There are literally hundreds on here, and there are hundreds more that were on the computer that was stolen in Washington State. And some of them actually transferred over to this computer because of the Windows 10 file sharing thing, since both of these computers are Windows 10. Some of those I still have access to. They're not named like most of these are, because I didn't post them publicly. They have too much information on them that's private. Like some of the women that I know have been prostitutes, and that's not your business. I mean, these are victims of sex trafficking. I'd like for them to come forward about what they had to go through and what they've been through, but at the same time, even though some of those women I'm extremely pissed off at, um, I'm trying to focus on the shit that I've had to go through and saving more people to prevent them from having to go through what these women went through. Um, I mean, there is just so much. Um, Here's trying to help addicts, trying to help addicts 2, trying to help addicts 3. Ah, here is copy link address. This one is from Hardin, Wyoming last year. I went there and I had a heroin addict and a meth addict with me. They were at the gas station there, the Love's truck stop. Uh, Gas jugging is what it's called. They go over to somebody who's filling up on gas and they ask for gasoline and, just to fill out, whatever, while they're filling up their tank, if they could put a few gallons in the container and then put it in the vehicle. And that's actually how we got from Cheyenne, Wyoming to Washington State, where I dropped Cat off. That's the guy's name that was with us. And the woman that was with us was so fucking crazy. I mean, we literally dropped her off in Billings, Montana at the women's shelter. And she was pissed off. But at the same time, I mean, me and Kat were taking abuse from that woman like you wouldn't believe. And I understand that she was being abusive like that because she didn't have the drugs that she wanted. She was coming down from those drugs. And that's difficult for somebody to deal with. It's difficult to be around an addict when they're recovering, especially when it's an addict who's not recovering. She's just coming down and she's pissed off because she wants her drugs. But there's actually 8 or 9 different videos with these guys. Cat wasting time looking for drugs, Cat a dealer and an overdose, um, gossip destroys lives, the drug circuit and flesh peddling, knowing the risks, the epidemic from the bottom. I mean, a lot of these are literally me with addicts. Here's me talking with an addict. Um, I mean, fuck, there is just so much of it. And there are probably about 30 different videos or more in here with various addicts. Um, there's also the woman who stole my phone. Uh, Here, I'll post the video where that whole thing started. Um, I mean, yeah, when I say that these stories actually happened, I'm literally posting the proof for you as I speak. There's meeting with the woman who stole my phone, part 1, part 2, part 3. Part 3 actually has her dog. It's pretty cute. Part 4, part 5, part 6, part 7, part 8, part 9, part 10, part 11. And then here's one called Meth in the Morning. This is about, this is a woman she's a drug addict there in Washington State, and she prostitutes herself to pay for the drugs that she's addicted to. It's very sad. Um, I mean, there is so much here. Um, I mean, just so fucking much. Um, Here's one where I get permission to stay the night. So we'll post that up here. That's at the Starbucks there. I mean, a lot of these, the ones that I'm going through and not posting up, are me talking about the conversations that I have posted up. Um, I mean, there's just so incredible much of it. Um, There's one called Dogs Are Wonderful. I'm going to post that up just because that lady who stole my phone, her dog was cute as fuck. And it's only like 34 seconds long, but it's all right, you know. Here's one called Human Trafficking in the Courts, and this one is just me talking about human trafficking. So I mean, it's not something that's necessarily evidence in my case, but I mean, there's a lot here. There really is. Here's one where I'm talking about Magistrate Fatzinger, Mike Boudet, and other people like that. Here's one called Intentionally Slandering Miss Peaches. Miss Peaches wouldn't come forward and wouldn't come forward and wouldn't come forward. And when the police slandered myself and Miss Peaches and Mandy Hughes and all of the other people who were trying to help me, and they didn't come forward, well, what did I do? I repeated what it is that the cops said. I repeated the message that the cops were giving. That Miss Peaches never made any effort whatsoever. That none of these other people who made this effort, that these videos of conversations between us prove that these people were trying, and that the police were outright refusing to allow them to do so. This is yeah, when I said it, I'm a terrible person. The police are fine if they say it. You're not pissed off at them. But if I say it, I'm terrible. But then there's the fact of, well, to some degree, she actually didn't make any effort to go in with me. Because she could have gone in with me that day when Amanda Jonas and all of them stole my evidence and prevented it from being shown in court, as well as several other situations. But the fact is that I knew for a fact that Miss Peaches had gone in with me on at least one occasion to try to make the police do their jobs. We actually we got there at around 5 o'clock, but the situation was pretty fucked. It was not a police station or a state patrol office. It was a fire department office, and apparently that's where the state patrol works out of. I mean, there's a lot here. Um, there's also one of the women that I was working with. I recorded conversations with her while we were working on my stuff. Here's one about Dalton Crawford's admission of guilt. He admitted that when he threatened my life, he was with Alicia Bollinger. But that's not a conversation. This is just me talking about it because it's actually in text messages, and I got to pull that shit up on my phone. I mean, it's just all right. Here's one. Let's see. I was making one called "To Ostracize" when my backpack was stolen, and here's TP Department 1. TP stands for Tacoma Police Department. I'm going to post these up here because this is pretty important. There was an officer there who was there when my backpack was stolen, and I brought him 2 witnesses and the man who stole my backpack, and that officer let that man walk away, and then that officer got into his vehicle and drove off. His name was Officer Schneider. These videos are about me trying to get my stuff back and also trying to turn in Officer Schneider for not doing his job. And then who is it that calls me back? Is it Internal Affairs? No. Is it his boss? No. It's Officer Schneider himself. Fuck that dude. So here's a few of them. I mean, there was a lot of police interactions, and the police were just assholes. Now, there's a bunch of different Starbucks that I went to because I like their rules. I like how they treat people. Except you always encounter somebody at one of those Starbucks who just doesn't like people for whatever reason. Doesn't like homeless people. When I was in Cheyenne, Wyoming, it was a homosexual that worked there who you'd think because he's gay that he would understand diversity and that homeless people are people too. If I'm going to treat you like a human being and you're a homosexual, I'm treating you like you're a human being because you're a human being. But if you're not going to treat me like a human being because I'm homeless, is it right for me to treat you like shit for being homosexual? I don't think so. But I do think it's okay for me to treat you like shit for treating me like shit. That man should have given me a heads up instead of lying at my ass. Here's one of the addicts. Oh, here's when the security guard told me where my backpack was, the one that was stolen, and I went to go get it. So here's the evidence of that one. And here's the mall security guard that showed me my backpack and a conversation that he and I had. Um, here's one of the addicts up there who's a prostitute, the one that he's talking about, actually. Um, here's a man who was by my computer when it was stolen, and actually, he might have been the one who stole it, him and his girlfriend. I don't know. I was told that he did, but there's then this bullshit. Now these two are with a woman up there who was pretending she was going to help me, but she wasn't understanding. I did all of the things that she wanted me to do for the help that she promised, but when I jumped through all those hoops, all of the things that I was afraid were going to happen happened. And she didn't want to take any responsibility for the fact that I did what she wanted and it didn't do any goddamn good. Um, I mean, there is so much here. Here's one of the witnesses from that Starbucks. His name is Connor. I mean, there's a lot here. Um, Stuff from Pastor Bruce, Flo and Pastor Bruce. Here's a conversation between me, Brianna, and the kids. Oh, Matt Beardsley accepted my friend's request. He wants me to say hi to my new friend Matt. That's Ben Beardsley's brother and Brooke Beardsley's brother and Casey Perry's uncle. Casey Perry is one of the missing people that I was helping to look for who has been found, thank goodness. Um, Actually, this one titled Rana and the Kids, that's me in the Walmart parking lot talking about the situation with her and the abuse. Um, Here's one about me talking about alcoholic issues, Rana, Amy and the Girls, propaganda in America. Um, I mean, there's a lot here. Here's the 911 call that I made in Rawlins, Wyoming, about the assault against Rana assaulting Amy's kids. And the conversation between me and Ray Ray actually talks about that too, where me and her talk about it, and she explains that it was because she was drunk all the time. And well, yeah, I already knew that. Um, I mean, shit, we're still at videos that are a few months old. You know, we still haven't gotten and I had to skip a whole bunch of it just for time savings. So I mean, this stuff is real. Um, I wasn't bullshitting. I told the truth. I've been explaining what's going on for a reason. We can change lives. We can make things better, but we need to work together. You can't know these things and then keep them a secret for months and months and promise that you're going to help someone. These people, if they'd have come forward when it mattered, they could have stopped the abuse. Not just against me, but also against Alicia Bollinger. She should have never been in that vehicle with her dad on a high-speed chase. You know what? When she went missing, both times that Alicia Bollinger went missing, people did the same thing they did when Natalie went missing. They accused me of killing her and started telling me they were going to kill me and shit.